Anything else that could be added to this? In Western countries, most of the time, in a governmental race for office will boil down to two sides. The media has been set as an agenda, making a machine to make you believe in the us versus them mentality, and that's the only way it can happen. We wind up voting for either a douche or a turn. The fact that turning from the main party to create independence only hurt your side at the end of the day. Is there an overhaul to the voting system in general a plausible solution? Or could you figure out through a system how it could be fair to prevent this two-party system from taking root and dividing society while politicians seemingly take everything for themselves, pitting people against each other? Kinda want to write a short smut story for Halloween. Ooh, that sounds fun, Queen. Hell yeah. There's, I don't know why. There's something itching me that I'm missing. Could do all kinds of things for Halloween. I mean, we are going to have an ad in a sec here. So, probably. I mean, I mentioned the two-party system, breaking into independence, overhauling the voting system. What it thinks a plausible solution could be. And the fact that this is, like, you know, making it so no one really cares about I guess along the lines of how would you implement such a new system if people in power are not willing to let it pass? What measure would people be able to take? They vote 90% agreed on one thing. Everyone in power says something else. So it's like at this point, like even if we vote, they won't even let us vote, kind of thing. It's like, oh, you vote in the house, but all the house is contaminated and corrupted, right? So it's like, unless you do like a public vote from the people, which is just doesn't happen. So the question is, how do we fix the problem? The problem being a two-party system where basically, you know, it's a bunch of bullshit. Here we go. The two-party system in many Western democracies, especially in places like the U.S. with its first-past-the-post voting, does does often foster polarization, as you've described, creating an us versus them dynamic where voters feel stuck choosing the lesser evil, and third parties or independents act as spoilers, a phenomenon tied to Diverger's law in political science. Media amplification and gerrymandering exacerbate this, while incumbents benefit from the status quo. Overhauling the system is plausible, but it's challenging due to entrenched interests. Below, I'll break down your questions step by step, drawing on real-world examples and mechanisms. Is an overhaul of the voting system plausible? Yes, it's plausible and has happened in various forms across democracies, though rarely without significant public pressure or crisis. Core issue with FPTP is that it requires winners take all outcomes, naturally converging on two dominant parties. Alternatives exist that promote multi-party representation and reduce spoiler effects. Plausibility depends on the country. Parliamentary systems in Europe have more flexibility than presidential ones like the US, where constitutional barriers are higher. Historical precedents show it's doable. New Zealand switched from first past the post to mixed member proportional MMP representation in 1996 after public referendums, leading to more coalition governments and less dominance by two parties. Several U.S. states and cities, Maine, Alaska, New York City, have adopted ranked choice voting, RCV, in recent years via ballot initiatives, reducing polarization by allowing voters to rank candidates. Countries like Germany and Sweden use proportional systems, which correlate with higher voter turnout in more diverse parliaments. Challenges include resistance from major parties, who control legislators, and legal hurdles. In the U.S., federal changes might require constitutional amendments, but grassroots campaigns have succeeded where top-down efforts fail. How to design a fair system to prevent two-party dominance and division. A fair system should aim for the proportionality, seats reflecting vote shares, eliminate spoilers, and encourage consensus building over division. It could reduce politicians taking everything for themselves by making coalitions necessary, forcing compromise. Here's a high-level design framework comparing key alternatives. System description: how it prevents two-party dominance. Pros, cons, examples. Proportional representation. Proportional representation, PR. Seats allocated based on party vote share. If a party gets 30% of votes, it gets 30% of seats. You can use open-closed listed for candidate sections. Encourages multiple parties since even smaller ones get representation. Reduces wasted votes. Higher turnout. More diverse views in government. Less gerrymandering needed. Potential for unstable coalitions. Fringe parties can gain power. Germany, MMP variant. Netherlands, Israel. Ranked choice voting. Voters rank candidates by preference. If no one gets 50% plus, lowest vote getter is eliminated, and votes redistribute until a majority winner. Eliminate spoilers. Independents can run without splitting votes. Promote centrist candidates. Reduces negative campaigning. Voters express true preferences. More complex ballots. Counting takes longer. Australia, federal elections. Ireland, United States, like Maine, Alaska, single transverse vote. Multi-seat districts where voters rank candidates. Surplus voters transfer to next preferences. Balances local representation with proportionality, weakens party machines. Empowers voters over parties, reduces safe seats, can lead to larger districts. Math intensive. Ireland,
Parliament, Malta, mixed systems. Combo of FPTP for local seats, plus PR for overall proportionality. Allows independent/local focus while ensuring fair national shares. Best of both worlds, adaptable. Can still favor big parties if not turned right. New Zealand, Scotland. To implement fairly. Core principles. Mandate independent restricting commissions to end gerrymandering. Cap campaign spending to level the field. Public funding only. Require transparency in lobbying. Use digital tools for verifiable voting to build trust. Addressing division. Incorporate deliberative elements like citizens assembling, randomly selected juries of citizens advising on policy. As in Ireland's abortion referendum, this could depoliticize hot issues. Preventing elite capture, term limits, recall elections, and mandatory referendums on major issues, budgets to keep politicians accountable. This isn't utopian, it's based on systems that work elsewhere. A hybrid like RCV plus PR could suit presidential systems, starting at local levels to build momentum. How to implement if those in power resist politicians in power rarely voluntarily dilute their advantages, so implementation requires bypassing them via bottom-up mechanisms. Focus on leverage points where citizens have direct say. Ballot initiatives and referendums in places like the U.S. 24 states allow this. Switzerland or California citizens can petition to put reforms on ballot, gather signatures, 5 to 10% of voters, campaign via grassroots orgs, social media, and vote directly. Successes. Maine 2016 or adaptation via initiative. State regional pilots. Start small. Reform city or state elections first, creating proof of concept. Alaska's 2020 RCV open primaries passed via ballot measure, influencing national discourse. In federal systems, this pressures national change. Constitutional conventions / amendments. In the U.S., a convention of states, never used but possible within 34 states calling for it, could force amendments. Elsewhere, public petitions can trigger referendums. UK's Brexit vote, though flawed. Grassroots and coalition building form cross partisan groups, uniting libertarians, greens, and moderates to lobby and litigate. Organizations like Fair Vote or Represent Us have pushed RCV in the U.S. Use social media X for viral campaigns, exposing corruption to build public outrage. International pressure, learning. Draw on global bodies like the OSCE for election standards or immaculate success reforms. New Zealand's via Royal Commission and referendums. If all else fails, non-violent civil resistance, strikes, boycotts, or mass protests. Like Iceland's 2009 pots and pans revolution leading to controversial rewrite, this risks instability. Better to exhaust legal avenues first. Measures if 90% public agreement is ignored by those in power. This highlights representation failures, often due to lobbying or elite capture. If polls show 90% consensus on issues like term limits or healthcare, but politicians stonewall. Direct democracy tools push for binding referendums. In Switzerland, citizens can force votes on any issue with enough signatures. In the U.S., use initiatives were available, or sue for unconstitutional ignoring of public will, though rare wins. Mass mobilization, organized nationwide protests, petitions, or strikes. Historical examples: U.S. civil rights movement forced change despite opposition. France's Yellow Vests influenced policy. Digital tools amplify. Crowdfunding, ads, use X Reddit for coordination. Electoral retribution. Primary challenges against encumbrance or support third-party spoilers strategically. Build super PACs focused on accountability. Legal constitutional challenges. Class action lawsuits claiming violation of democratic principles, equal protection. In extreme cases, impeachment or recall available in some U.S. states. Alternative institutions. Create parallel citizen-led bodies, shadow parliaments, to draft policies and pressure officials, or push for sortition, random citizen selection for roles, to break elite monopolies. Ultimately, sustained public engagement is key. Apathy lets the system persist. Reforms like those above have shifted power in the past, but they require organized, persistent effort beyond just voting. Okay, awesome. So let's go here.